Hey, welcome to the Demon Toast podcast. I'm King Loki, the editor of Death Wish Poetry Magazine, and with me is one of our editors. We've got Jack Brennan here. What's up, dude?
I am doing very well today.
You've come back for more torment.
Glutton
Or
for
no,
punishment, always coming back.
always coming back, right? Yeah, so obviously Jack was on a previous episode, and as previously mentioned, he's one of our editors here, but Jack's also a writer. A very, very, very talented writer, and we've published quite a few of his things, which is partly why he's one of our editors because of his mad skills at writing gothic and sexy, very witty stories and poetry, incidentally. So we like to spotlight writers on our podcast and platform. So here we are. Jack, how is your weekend going?
It's going as well as any other weekend, Just wake up, do some fucking work, eat some food, and go to bed. Rinse, repeat till you die.
Yeah, as the
Another grain of sand down the hourglass of my life.
another day, another 25 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So in the spring edition, we had two of your stories. The very morose and beautiful Bloody Mary, and more sexy and morbid Song of Sodom. Both stories with biblical roots. Is that a genre you like to write in?
I mean, by numbers, not particularly, but I do like to write in it. I really only wrote those two stories. I call those the Death Wish duology because I wrote those specifically for Death Wish. Because, Battle of Lilith got in, and I was like, well, how do I... There's got to be more money to be made somewhere here in the Bible. So, I wanted to tackle some other biblical theology, some other mythology from the Bible. And those two stories just have, the story of Mary Magdalene, the story of Lot and his daughters, I felt had some good potential to explore, and that's why I chose those.
Yeah, I really like Bloody Mary a lot. Obviously, I'm not someone who really understands or appreciates the character of Mr. Jesus, but I think you do a really wonderful job of highlighting how his absence would have been felt by people who were not that closely attached to him, you know? Like the ascension is treated as a bad thing in Bloody Mary because Mary Magdalene misses him and the world just feels empty without his light there.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was trying to, I was trying to explore the resurrection from like maybe a different angle that hasn't been explored quite yet. Because I think we all get caught up in like it was a sacrifice, it was a great thing, it was a beautiful thing, humanity saved. It's like Neo getting absorbed in the Agent Smith. So I wanted to show that maybe a drawback of it on like a personal level. We see the massive sweeping cosmic consequences of Jesus' coming back, but we don't really think about it on a personal level, on a human level.
Yeah. And I think that's a good way to describe it because like the Christians make a big I mean this might just be Catholic doctrine. I don't know. I'm showing a little much
Christians.
the Christians, yeah, that sinister group of people, right? But no,
Yeah.
they talk about how Jesus was 100% human and 100% God or spirit at the same time. It was a magic synthesis, and
Yeah.
that doesn't really come
To me, that
across.
makes sense, but
Well, does it make sense?
it makes sense to me. And it makes sense to me in terms of a story and fiction, but it doesn't make, if I was talking about real life, it wouldn't make any sense. But that.
Right. Well, like I get it conceptually, but at the same time, it's like Jesus doesn't like there aren't stories where he laughs. There aren't stories where he makes mistakes. Like there's nothing human about him, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Like he's
to me,
not
I think
relatable
that's
to me.
how a lot of modern Christians envision him. A lot of modern Christians like to envision like the fun Jesus, the happy Jesus, the one who makes kind of quippy jokes and he preaches and he's good friends with all his disciples and they kind of pal around. It's like a whole roaming band of just hippies. But like in the Bible doesn't that contradicts that interpretation, but there's not a whole lot of warmth and humanity.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I think that's the impact of modernism and Christian media trying to emulate Vikings, where the heathens are these like fun-loving warriors who get into mishaps and stuff. It's not
I
really there in biblical literature or I don't know Catholic doctrine. Like if you read Paradise Lost, where every character besides for Jesus and God the Father are like really fun and complex, it just doesn't come across. It's not really there, but
And to be fair, the Bible is kind of written to be a sort of historical accounting, so you're not going to have that kind of like
right.
colorful character-focused prose.
Sure, sure.
It's just a limitation of the format, really.
Which is where clever writers like you come in. Jesus feels like something that I was missing in the story because of how powerful and sad you make, how impactful you make his reality feel by his absence in your story. Mary finds herself drawn to Judas because he's also sad about Mr. Jesus for different reasons, because he betrayed him. He doesn't have the gall to tell her though. And when he kills himself, she has no one to relate to. And it's not really something you see. Like it puts to mind it reminds me of the character of the comedian in Watchmen, where his death is sort of what sets everything into motion, and it shadows every character's actions in the story, to the point where Mary isn't really capable of understanding, like, the abstract nature of what Jesus did for the world and his followers, right? Because that is very much what it is. It's not something physical, Like,
It's
there's
like
some.
when you
Good.
tell. It's like if a person died and the person was an organ donor and his organs go to good people, goes to teachers and doctors and scientists and noble people, and the doctor's telling the parent of the patient, well, don't worry, your son was worth more to the world at large dead than alive. Like, no one, even if that's true, no one wants to hear it. That's just a platitude. No one, it wouldn't matter to someone who knew Jesus personally. They would be upset about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a loss, and I really appreciate that when she goes to the sepulcher where he was buried and ascended. Well, I guess he didn't ascend from, but he left the sepulcher. But when she goes there, she talks to him, and he doesn't talk back. And that's something that I think a lot of people who are religious or used to be religious, I think they can really relate to that. I can relate to that. Because I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in God or anything like that. But like, I went through periods where I would talk to God, and I would be like, is he talking back? I don't, like
A lot of
the
people confuse
the
their
silence is
own.
deafening. Is my point.
A lot of people just confuse their own internal monologue with the response of God. So
The Holy
I
Spirit.
think a lot of people who are just actually honest with themselves are like, I don't think this is legit. At least he's not talking back. At least
Yeah.
if I were to pray, it'd be something like, how many fingers is the guy next to me holding behind his back? I wouldn't ask him anything about my personal shit. I'd ask him like, can you give me some proof? Can you give me some kind of like some verification? What are the winning lotto numbers? I'm not gonna use it. I'm not gonna use it for money. I just want to know, like, if you know.
Yeah, they walk a fine line with that kind of stuff because it's like, because there's no proof of God, they lean really hard on the faith thing. Oh, you need faith. It's like, well, why doesn't God, like, wouldn't it be better for him to reveal himself? Like, what's the
Well,
point?
faith. The problem is that faith leads to false religions too. So
Right.
obviously, faith is not a reliable means of getting to the truth.
It is not, because Muslims have faith. How
Jews have
do
faith.
Jews have faith?
Buddhists, Hindus,
Pagans,
Zoroastrianists.
Norse pagans, right? It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, they have false faith. Well, how do I tell the difference? All these people say that they believe because they have faith, and it's like, well, if God revealed himself, that would destroy your free will. And it's like,
Well, keeping me that has nothing to do with free will, because whether or not I know if something exists has nothing to do with whether or not free will exists. Like this,
yeah,
there's no evidence for Bigfoot, but like if Bigfoot did exist and I didn't know about him, my free will wouldn't be violated by my absence of knowing.
I have a hard time too, because for me, as I understand it, belief is not, I don't think it's not a conscious choice.
No,
I'm
it's
not
not.
Yeah, I'm not capable of believing in gods. Like, I had a period after I deconstructed from religion where I was like real into Norse paganism, but I couldn't. I knew Odin wasn't real. There was no like, well, I want the Allfather to be real, or I'm gonna have. It's like, well, he's not real. I know that this is a construction by Nordic and Teutonic peoples. Like, it's like to explain the thunder and natural processes and death. Like, I don't think
I just
there's a
associate,
good.
associated with religion, but I never really like stopped being interested in theology, which is why I write stories like these.
I agree, and that brings us back to the story. Of course, I also like theology. Look, it's like reading Warhammer 40K wikis.
Exactly. It's cool to like get in the moment, be like, ah, yes, Christ is king, Christ is king. But like, I wouldn't want him to live. It's like the Emperor of Man. You wouldn't want to live in real life.
No, no. What did you say, filthy infidel? But no, seriously, I agree. Like, obviously, I play with it in my Demonland novels. Like, I like the dream logic of it, but it doesn't add up, and I'm not capable of believing it. Which, Obviously, so okay, I want to focus on what you do with Mary Magdalene. Should we go into the ending or should we leave it?
Whatever you think feels best. It depends like what you want to do. If you want to talk about Mary Magdalene, we can do that.
Well, tell you what, I don't want to spoil the story. People should read it. It is very good. It's on deathwishpoetry.com. It will not be in the physical edition. There will be an excerpt because there's not space.
There'll be an excerpt. That's cool.
I was going to leave it out, but I don't want to do that. That's not fair to, my short story writers. So yeah, you should definitely read it. But you do something with Mary Magdalene that I haven't seen done before, and it very much speaks to the physical body and the physical world and sort of the arena in which she lives, right, and understands. And I'm wondering if that was part of your thinking in doing that to her, without giving away what you do.
So you're basically asking if I had any kind of like physical, like, are you asking like was I intentionally trying to make her final conclusion, if you will, like reminiscent of some kind of metaphor for like matter over spirituality or physicality over spirituality or anything like that?
Yeah, as in like Mr. Jesus abandoned her, and she's like, whatever, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, probably. I would say so. In my mind, it was just kind of like making a cool kind of parallel to sort of Lucifer, how Lucifer was like kind of favored among all angels, and among Christ's disciples, the one who was seemed to be favored above all over others also seems to kind of go down a darker path.
Okay.
I don't think I was making any conscious decision of like, flesh being superior to spirit or matter being physical superior to divine. But if you want to read that into it, I think that's pretty cool if you did.
Okay. Yeah,
As soon as the story's out and it's written, my opinion on it is no more valid than anyone else's.
right, despite being the writer. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, the mark of good writing is that different people will get different things out of it, I think.
I was kind of, in my mind, I was sort of like, I wanted to explore Mary Magdalene because she's a character that doesn't get a lot of dues, I think. I never even heard of Mary Magdalene despite her importance and me attending many, many religious schools until I was well into my 20s, I think. Never even heard of her, which is kind of bizarre. And I think part of the reason is that it's because I think she's a female. And I think a lot of, like in the story, I point out how a lot of disciples have a lot of a beef against her because she's closer to Jesus than any of them, and she's a female, and they can't take offense to that. And partly because I think the fact that she was so close to Jesus, in a historical sense, really calls into question Jesus's chastity.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see throughout history, religious leaders tend to have women who comfort them, physically. And I think it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to assume that Jesus probably had some sort of romantic relationship with Mary Magdalene, if such people did exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she is a character, and I'm wondering if she doesn't have a major role in the Bible. She has a role in the Bible. I don't even think she's named, right?
A lot of people, I think she's named. A lot of people attribute her or conflate her with the prostitute that Jesus protects on the square.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Which, to my knowledge, has been debunked. The Catholic Church no longer believes that. Although I did in my story, but whatever.
Well, you can't debunk something that is an implication that people read into a narrative. They
Yeah,
just say it's not her, and they're
they made a
like, we
definitive
have the
ruling.
primacy of opinion on the Jesus, and it's like, okay.
It's like when the people in charge of Warhammer change a rule, okay?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, but it's like the Bible exists as a literary work, so if it's there, I'm going to read it into it because I don't really care what the Catholic Church says. They don't have any reason to.
It's like Satan being the serpent in the Garden of Eden. There's no evidence to suggest that. It's just cool to think that.
There's nothing in the book, right? Exactly. It's just a thing that, ties into the narrative, as it were.
And it makes more sense, like retroactively.
Well, it can, right? Exactly.
Because how the fuck would the snake? How did the snake talk to begin with? Who put it there?
Yeah.
Was it God?
It's almost like it's something they stole from another mythology. Well, I think that what did I want to say? Where do I want to go? Good old.
If you want to talk about the ending, we can just put like a spoiler warning or something. Or you not want to do that?
Nah, let's not do that because people just watch. People just listen.
All right.
Yeah, unless you don't care. Do you not care?
I care if you care.
I liked it. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
Bloody Mary is a very beautiful story. There's a lot of really beautiful descriptions. There's a lot of very moving depictions of grief and sorrow. And even if you don't like Christianity or you don't vibe with that kind of stuff, it's thoughtful and definitely worth reading. And you should definitely click the link at the bottom and
It's very much what I think about when C.S. Lewis talked about writing about religion. He said, Christianity does not need Christian writers. They need writers who happen to be Christian. And I kind of think that applies to me as well, because I'm not trying to write a story about Christianity. I'm just trying to write a good story.
And you're not even Christian, right?
No, I'm not. Although I was raised Catholic. I know a lot about Christianity. I have kind of a soft spot for it among all of the religions, but
Yeah. And you're not like me. You actually like the character of Jesus, right?
I like my interpretation of him. I don't like how he's in the text. I have to it's kind of like Anakin Skywalker. I kind of have to forget a lot of shit about him to like him.
Yeah, I think that's a great metaphor because I was writing a poem years ago where I was going to have three Jewish messiahs drinking together and talking to me, and one of them was going to be Mr. Jesus. And I was like, all right, I don't know anything about this. So I read through the Jefferson Bible, which is basically segments from the gospel with all the miracles removed. And I was
Yeah,
horrified by all the admonitions and all of Jesus's talking about eternal hellfire. And I'm just like,
fire and
this is
brimstone
Jesus?
future. Yeah,
I
that's
couldn't
Jesus.
believe how mean he was, you know? So yeah, I appreciate
I
that.
like
That
to,
that jives.
if ever I write about Jesus or have Jesus in a story, I like to write him as. I don't like to write him ever in a bad light. Not because I have a special attachment to Jesus, but because I feel like one, it's cheap. Two, I just think it's more interesting in this mythology to have God, Big Daddy, Big Boss, be the angry, righteously furious, I'll smote your ass, smiting people left and right, I'll cast you out, do this, do that, curses upon people. I think it's cool to have him be that and have Jesus be another side of that, side of the coin, if you will, the compassionate side, the merciful side, the gentle
Hmm.
side. Redemption. I like to see Jesus more as the redemption for God than the redemption of man.
Well, that's you rehabilitating an entire mythology. I love it. Very ambitious. Very cool.
There's
Yeah.
a great video by a gentleman named Dark Matter 2525. He lists 5 reasons to rethink Jesus' sacrifice. I think everyone should watch it. I think it's pretty interesting, and it's kind of like how I like to interpret it, because it makes more sense if you think about it.
Shout out to Dark Matter. That's a channel I haven't watched since I was a teenager, but it's great. He makes little animations about the Bible.
Probably in some way inspired me as a writer of writing biblical retellings.
Yeah, obviously they're cynical videos. Like he's an atheist and he thinks the
I mean, that's
Bible
what
is
made me an
right.
atheist, by the way. I watched one Dark Matter video when I was 12 years old, and I was like, okay, yeah, God's not real. That makes sense.
Yeah, I love the Garden of Eden video where Adam's naming all the animals and there's a velociraptor. He's like,
Yeah,
wait, you have
that's the first. That's the one I watched. That's the first one I watched.
you have claws for ripping flesh, and he's like, no, 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 I eat greens like everything else here. We're at peace. There's no
Why do
death
you have
in the
such
garden.
sharp teeth?
That's actually really funny.
Hey, Yahweh, what about those wasps whose life cycle depends on burrowing in the eyes of children? Is like, what are.
No, no, no. There was no death in the garden before the forbidden fruit, man. Yeah, you're asking. Don't ask that question. All right, don't ask it again.
Why do I have a butthole if I don't need to eat to survive?
Hey, hey, it wasn't there before. Okay. Yeah, Dark Matter 25 or whatever the number is. Great channel. It's probably still there. I don't know. It's been a
Oh, he's
while.
still going strong. He made a video yesterday about it was about Donald Trump going to hell.
I'm gonna have to catch up. That's crazy. Okay, well, do read Bloody Mary. It's glorious, it's sad, it's melodramatic, and, it's about Mary Magdalene, who, as far as female characters in the Bible go, she's definitely one of them.
One of the most fun times I ever had writing a story too. It was easy time writing. It was a fun time writing. So it was pretty cool experience all around.
Which brings us to our next story, a very sinister story, the Song of
Sister.
Sodom, which is about Lot's daughters. That's the Romanized version, right? I always say the Hebrew Lot. That's how,
I always kind of want to do Hebrew names, but it makes it sound pretentious.
nobody. Yeah, well, nobody knows what that is. If you say Avraham, they're gonna be like, "Wait, the Yu-Gi-Oh card? What are you talking about?"
Abraham, Yeshu.
Yehoshua, yeah. Yeshu is Aramaic for Jesus. That's actually really funny. I think it's derogatory because they're I don't know, whatever. I don't want to get into that. Song of Sodom is about Lot's daughters. Famously in the Bible, there's this wonderful city called Sodom, and its sister city Gomorrah, which Yahweh is like, I'm gonna destroy this fucking city, and there's gonna be no more Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham,
Then,
God's best bro, is like, hey, come on, no, don't do that.
like the original Jew, he negotiates God down from 50 good people to just one.
True! Probably the first story of a Jew haggling, and it's
Yeah. And the Bible, it does not hold back any punches. It literally goes back and forth. Like, what if there's 50? There's 50 good people there, right? It's like, well, what if there's 35?
none, Abe, there ain't none. He's like, all right,
The
maybe
audacity to push his luck against the creator.
Maybe my nephew. And he's like, Abraham, that guy sucks. He's like, he's family. What are you talking about? Maybe you could come out and have some kishka on Shabbos, you know?
Oy vey.
Oy vey is mir, yeah. So Yahweh lets them, but before all that, um, God sends some angels down to go and tell Lot, it's time to go, buddy. Well, actually, this is all after. Oh my God, I am so
Well, the
frazzled.
first thing to appraise the moral worth of the city because God's on a mission for some stupid fucking reason, and then after that, after he's welcomed into the home by Lot, because they're gonna say they're gonna sleep in the city square, and Lot's like, that's not a great idea, but you
Maybe,
might leave yourself open to some
maybe don't.
unwanted visitation.
Maybe don't. Yeah, maybe don't. This is the rape city. So the angels stay with Lot in his house, and a horde of horny
Every
rapists.
man in the city, every one of them.
It's like a story that was written about like New York by like a weird Chrysler nowadays, like the raving homosexual hordes of Philadelphia or New York, you know?
They'd be better off if they had raving homosexual whores than what they have now.
Yeah, I
Like
don't know.
just rats and homeless people and just
Yikes. Anyway, so yeah, they're demanding that Lot send out his sexy, otherworldly
angel
guests.
femboys.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that Lot knows that they're angels at the moment, but
Yeah, it's never clear, is it?
it's not clear. He learned it. What's implied by the Bible is that Lot learned the virtue of hospitality from Abraham because that was Abraham's big thing, inviting guests in and being nice to them and feeding them. It's like a thing of the ancient world. And so Lot
Yeah.
was like, "You can't rape my guests; they're my guests."
Even Zeus was the god of hospitality. If if you fucked with your guests, Zeus would fuck with you, man. That's like one of the highest laws there is.
Yeah, a lot of I want to say Bronze Age cultures were like that. The Norse were like that. You were supposed to let any guest in who came by. It might be a god in disguise. You don't know, you know. So yeah, he's like, listen, I'm not gonna send my guests out, but maybe I'll send out my two virgin daughters, and you can rape them and
My
have fun
virgin
with them.
daughters, even though they're married or betrothed.
They were unmarried. It's been a while since I read
Well, no,
Genesis.
because Lot goes to get his sons-in-law.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
What the fuck is this? Maybe they were sacred prostitutes. I don't know. Oh yeah, they were virgins though, right?
yeah. I mean, he
I
said
hate
they were
it.
virgins.
But they
Maybe
lived
he
in
was lying.
Sodom. They lived in the city of sexual like
Yeah, how can every man in
impropriety.
the city be a rapist and have two virgin women?
All right, whatever. It's the fucking Bible. So he sends them out there, and it's real dark. So tell us what happens in your story, Jack, because I love this story. It's great, but I want to hear you tell it.
In the story, well, for one, I thought it was pretty suspicious that every man in the city is a rapist. I figured something has to be going on here. But secondly, I got the idea of like, well, what if Asmodeus was there, the demon of lust, and that would make sense. And then in my mind's eye, I'm like, okay, well, what's interesting I could do with this? What if Asmodeus sees Lot do that, and he's like, wait, what the fuck? Wait, you can't. Righteous, that. I call it hacks. Hacks. Righteous people can't do that. So, of course, he's like, well, I got a choice now. I can either do the right thing and save them, or I could rebel against God. I never thought I'd have to make that choice, but here I am. And he chooses he'd rather rebel against God, so he decides to cast the blinding spell, which in the Bible, that's what the angels did. But
Right.
instead, it's just him. I mean, in the Bible, they don't. In the Bible, the rapists don't accept lost daughters. They want that angel booty, you know? They want those angel booties. They don't care about these virgin women. They want angel. So instead, I mean, that's the change I made. They actually like, oh, we'll take the virgins. So Lot sends them out. The little virgins, they're panicking. Asmodeus makes his choice. He blinds them. They all fall to the ground. Asmodeus is like, hey, you need a lift, basically, and that's the story. Just keeps on. Oof. The story's
Nice.
off.
It's good stuff. I love how you write Asmodeus. It's pretty great. And in no time at all, Sodom was rotten. It was putrid. It was a carcass of its former self. The streets were swollen in muck, and its gutters fermented in fornication and urine. The sweet chorus of its debauchery cried out every night, and Asmodeus basked in the sight and sound and scent of it all. He never partook, only a humble guide. He may have been a vagrant with rags for shoes, but he was a ruler of this place. But he was ruler of this place. His castle was the streets. His gnarled walking stick was his scepter, and his advisors were the rats and lice. Sodom continued to deteriorate under Asmodeus's watchful eye. As time went on, the decadence, capital D, sank to new, more exciting lows. The city was no longer a blemish, it was an infection. It was only a matter of time, Asmodeus knew. before the enemy would be dispatched to cure it, sterilize it before it could spread. That's when the angels came to Sodom. They had been sent by God to appraise just how vile the city and its denizens had become. They did not disguise themselves as Asmodeus did. They came in their true forms, practically naked, tall, strong, and luminous. Their bodies looked more of pure energy than of crude matter, shimmering like sunlight off of water. And they were unmistakably male. Their trunks were muscular, yet hourglass shaped. It's so funny how you write this. Because he's just like, yeah, this place is gonna get like wiped out eventually, but I mean, I'm doing my job, and then the angels just show up, and there's no pretense about what's happening at all, you know?
I'm the Bible kind of left me holding, kind of left me empty-handed with those angels. I'm like, how does this work? Do they just come as humans? Or are they male? How does this work?
And then you get to the point where Lot sends his daughters out, and he's like, he really did it. Asmodeus thought in horrified bewilderment. He was almost impressed. Almost. So what makes you decide to have Asmodeus save the girls?
I mean, it would be more interesting if he did than if he didn't. That's the long or the short of it.
That's a great answer.
I mean, it's like the same kind of... If more stories can be told with that omission than not, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Obviously, this story is it's very fun, it's very morbid, it's also very sexy. Jack, do you enjoy writing erotica?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you
I confess. In fact, the very first time I ever made money off writing, it was from writing smut. I wrote smut in high school and people paid me for it. And I did pretty well. I got like $100.
Yeah, I mean, people will pay good money for well-written erotica. Do you enjoy writing biblical erotica? Is that like your favorite genre?
No, I wouldn't say so. To me, this just had like a sexy kind of like... Of all the Bible stories, the story of Lot and his wacky daughters happened to have like the kind of like a setup porn scenario, so I kind of explored that route in like a different way. So not particularly biblical erotica, but I do kind of like, it's a sexy scenario.
These are yeah, never mind. Yeah, so fair enough. Fair enough. Obviously, you're not limited to biblical stuff. Like in our workshop, we read this one story that you'd written it reminded me of boy, I have the Kurt Vonnegut novel Slaughterhouse-Five, where there's like this human who is living with aliens in their little resort, in their little she lives in like a little human
like
habitat.
a nature preserve.
Yeah, it's like a nature preserve run by these squid aliens, and obviously it goes to a sexy place. And like, it's a very funny story. It's a very sexy story. It's a very
unlike that story. I would say that Song of Sodom is erotica, whereas I would say that story is just a story that happens to have erotic elements. Whereas in this case, this was meant to titillate.
Right, this was meant to be sexy and kind of blasphemous.
Well, that's what adds to the fun of it. It's like, ooh, it's forbidden.
Yeah. Understood. Excuse me. So what are some of your inspirations as a writer?
Like just in general? Oh, I gotta say, Harlan Ellison, he's my man. If he can't do it, no one can. He's written as someone who predominantly writes short stories, he wrote my favorite short story of all time, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Obviously, that's very popular nowadays. It's in memes, it's in posts and edits, and people just love He's mentioned with the Q Hanim from All Tomorrows, or Judge Holden is just pure evil villains. I think he still doesn't get his dues, really. I think he's responsible for the post-nuclear apocalypse genre, and like Fallout and Mad Max. I don't think people really appreciate that because of what he wrote Boy and His Dog. That was kind of the genesis of that. And just all around, if you just want a creative, bizarre short story, or just a story in general, which is what I like to write, Harlan Ellison, I think he does it better than no one else.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the... I think he's kind of underappreciated in the modern era, especially because like he wrote some of the early Star Trek episodes. He wrote for The Twilight Zone. He also... Yeah, you're right.
He wrote for the 80s Twilight Zone. I don't believe he ever wrote for the Rod Serling era.
No?
No.
Okay. I'll take your word for that, because you're kind of the expert on the Twilight Zone, so...
He wrote... The only Star Trek episode I'm aware that he wrote was City on the Edge of Forever. And I remember that because in his script he said, ancient gates surrounded by mystical ruins. And the set designer was a moron and thought he said ruins, because he didn't know what runes are. So he came up to the set one day and was like, I said runes, not ruins, runes!
Oh, that's amazing. I love that episode. But wait, he didn't write the one where they go through the portal and time travel?
No, he wrote that.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Didn't he write the one with the robots? You know, the early episode with the robot. I don't remember. There was like a
He
robot
could
girl
have.
or something.
I'm not. I'm sure he could have written from other episodes of Star Trek. I'm pretty sure he did. I'm not sure though. That's the only episode I remember by name that he wrote.
Well, he also voiced it. He also voiced it. Well, he also voiced HP Hatecraft on Scooby Doo.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't. That was Jeffrey. Okay, so everyone, I don't know why everyone like forgets the premise of the episode. In the episode, there are two writers.
Wait, it was
H.P.
Jeffrey
Hatecraft,
Combs.
played by
That's
Jeffrey
right.
Combs, yes, and then Harlan Ellison himself, who is named Harlan Ellison, looks like Harlan Ellison, and voiced by Harlan Ellison shows up.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm confabulating. Yeah, he was also.
Everyone, it's
Let's
so weird
scrap-
because everyone makes that mistake. My friend made that mistake too.
It's because you forget that he was playing himself, and you just know that HP Hatecraft was there.
It's so
voiced
bizarre.
and it makes sense that it was Jeffrey Combs. Okay.
I wrote that, I saw that episode when I was like 8 years old, and obviously I thought he was just a made up writer. And then years and years later go by, I read I Have No Mouth and I'm a scream. It's like, oh wow, this is awesome. I do more exploring. It's like, wait a minute, this is I call shenanigans.
You know what I think? I think it was the Mandela effect.
Yeah, probably.
I think that Harlan Ellison voiced HP Hatecraft, and I didn't forget. I think that the world forgot. Yeah.
Harlan Ellison doesn't get his dues.
I'm leaving it all in. I don't care.
People
It's a conspiracy.
love I Have No Mouth for good reason. It's my favorite story of him. I think he needs other stories of him. He needs appreciation. I love Repent Harlequin instead of TikTok Man. 5, Pretty Maggie Money Eyes. The Beast That Shouted Love at the End of the World. Court. I don't know. It's you know what it is. Fuck. What else did he write? His Dog, Soldier, Glowworm. Hang on. Let me get the collection out. I got the. This was published last year. I got the essential
I have
works.
that. Yeah, I love that cover. It's so cool.
Forward by Neil Gaiman. If you want to hear his thoughts on the man, he gives a great description of Ellison. You know, Cassandra Caw. She's pretty popular.
That came out. Yeah, that came out back when American Gods was getting its TV show. It was in development, so Gaiman's name was on everything. Like, I have a collection of Lovecraft stories with stupid Gaiman's face name at the top. It's very upsetting. Yeah.
I do love Gaiman's description of Ellison. He says, I felt like I befriended a hand grenade. I just didn't want to be around when he went off.
Gaiman is a great writer. He's just Neil Gaiman, you know?
Yeah. Also edited by J. Michael Straczynski, who wrote Babylon 5. He also wrote the Spider-Man comic where Spider-Man sells his soul to the devil, if you want to love and hate him at the same time like I do.
He also wrote Sins of the Father, where Spider-Man finds out that Gwen Stacy, before she died, secretly gave birth to Norman Osborn's twin children. His run of Spider-Man is one of the most baffling runs. It has these high fucking peaks. He created the Morlun, the Inheritors, but then he also wrote that dumb shit. Yeah. The whole Brand New Day thing was that wasn't Straczynski's fault. That was Joe Quesada. He's a fucking asshole.
He seems like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Harlan Ellison. He's my inspiration as a short story writer.
There you go.
I also got to mention, Clive Barker, his Books of Blood. This one has way more. I mean, this one, even though Harlan Ellison's my favorite, Clive Barker easily inspired Bloody Mary and Song of Sodom way more than Ellison did, unfortunately.
I mean, Barker is a genius. He's easily my favorite modern writer. I like him more than Stephen King, you know?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I love his short stories most of all, but he has great books too. Obviously, there's The Hellbound Heart. There's Mr. Begone, Scarlet Gospels. Yeah, I have that. Thief of Always, which is a great kids book. If you want a great book for your children, Thief of Always.
Yeah. His kids' books are funny because they're written for children, but they're still very much Barker. I didn't read The Thief of Always, but I read a bit of Abarat, and I was surprised by how gruesome it was, just in its opening.
Yeah, kids, you need to scare them a little bit. You gotta, scare the piss them a little bit,
Well, kids can take it. That's
and they deserve quality writing.
Kids can take it. Like, we're watching the Thundercats right now, and I'm like, oh, this is imaginative and kind of violent, kind of scary. Like,
Which one?
I'm watching the original.
Okay, yeah. They made a reboot when I was a little boy, and it was kind of more mature. It had there was a scene pretty graphic where it's not, you don't see it, but you see a silhouette of a man beating his slave, and it's pretty brutal.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was telling Dustin, I'm like, do you think they'll ever do a Masters of the Universe revelation for this show? He's like, they did it already.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
It's the 2000s. People love it. I'm like, I never saw it. I didn't even know it existed.
But unfortunately, for a reason I can't get into right now, because of a whole different array of reasons, action cartoons are no longer viable, generally.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Superman, the cartoon show, My Adventures with Superman, is airing on Adult Swim, which is crazy. That's a
Yeah.
children's show,
And
you
even
know?
then, it's very, very much lighthearted, very comedic. It's very,
Made for kids.
action cartoons just don't do well anymore for children.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, Harlan Ellison, Clive Barker, those are pretty good influences to
Richard
have.
Matheson wrote a lot of the Twilight Zone episodes. He's one I took a lot of inspiration from. There's Robert A. Heinlein, Isaac Asimov. I tend to write more science fiction than I do just like fantasy or horror.
You're right.
But I love it all.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, you're actually working on a novel that is a very much a science fiction novel, right?
Science fiction adjacent, I would say.
Adjacent. Okay, got it. Yeah, do we want to talk about that or nah?
No, we'll save that because I don't want people to be like, "When's the book coming out, Jack? When's it coming out? You mentioned it, It'll be out when it's out."
Okay, we will cut that then. Okay, yeah, those are really great influences. Those are two of my influences too. I love Barker. I love. Oh my God, what's wrong with me?
That crown is too tight. It's cutting off blood.
You're right. I need to take the crown off. Heavy is the crown. I love Barker. I love H.P. Hatecraft.
Okay.
Oh my God, what's his name? He wrote "I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream."
Harlan Ellison.
Oh my God, I'm gonna punch myself in the face. All right. Yeah, I love Harlan Ellison. I love Clive Barker.
You
I need
can
to.
see the Ellison influence in my other Death Wish submission, which is Stream of Consciousness, which is basically just I have no mouth, I must scream, but reverse. It's machines being tortured.
Right, that's a really good story. Yeah, it's a great story. Um, what did I want to
Three
say? Yeah, I
breaks.
really want to read Boy and His Dog. I've never read that. That sounds cool though. I didn't
The
realize
movie
that.
is pretty much exactly like the book, so if you want to watch that instead, that's cool.
Yeah, he's kind of underrated. Fair enough. So, are there any current shows that you're watching?
Current shows that I'm watching.
Yeah, I mean, I just
No, I
watched.
don't think there is. I've
Okay.
been reading a lot of comic books recently. I've been reading the original Doom Patrol. I've been reading the original Silver Surfer. Very good. Especially Silver Surfer.
The classic Stan and Jack stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's funny. That's kind of the later era of Stan and Jack collaborating because that was a spin-off of Fantastic Four, which the coming of Galactus was like when they were really hitting their stride with a lot of books, you know?
Again, you can see people drawing inspiration from the Bible. You can Jack Kirby likened the Silver Surfer to a fallen angel, and you really get that vibe in these earlier issues where he's over for both, and his tragedy is so cosmic in a way. It's like I was reading it, I was like, this is literature. This is not a comic. This is literature.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time.
Not to sound like a blowhard.
No, you're right though. You're right though. Whereas like a lot of comic books follow the structure of villain does something, hero not being very reactive, shows up after hand wringing about being a hero for a while. They show up and fight the villain, and then we wipe the board and set. The Silver Surfer comic kind of spearheaded the cosmic direction where we would feature characters in space musing over whatever, and then something psychedelic and life changing would happen, and
Effortlessly philosophical in a way.
very philosophical, exactly. The Jim Starlins of the '70s, your Guardians of the Galaxy books, your who's that character? Adam Warlock books.
Actually, you know what? It's not my first time watching it, but I have been rewatching the Silver Surfer cartoon from 1999, which had a single episode written by Harlan Ellison.
Really? Which one?
It was the one where Galactus is dying because he ingested a space parasite.
That tracks. I would have guessed that he wrote the one with Ego the Living Planet, but that's just because,
Yeah, the one where Silver Surfer goes to visit Beta Ray Bill, like the Wyndham, and they're all in like this virtual reality dream state, and they're like just living in this fantasy world, and he has to break him out of it. That also seemed to have like an Ellison vibe to it.
Yeah, true. I will say that show, it's probably the best Marvel cartoon of the '90s.
Probably, I would say so.
I think it's the last one, unless the Avengers came out, the shitty
It's
Avengers.
1999, so it probably was the last one. I love the way the show looks. It's combined CGI and it's so the line work and the colors and the Kirby crackle everywhere.
It's very nice. Galactus is exclusively CGI, and there's something very charming about it, even though he doesn't look great.
Yeah. Well, it's a great design. His eyes are just like these, just blaring like headlights, and he has his badass voice. And his spaceship is literally like, it's a giant saucer the size of a planet. He's just gigantic man, and like a chair, and like, it like turns and stuff, like, he can look in any direction.
Yeah, it's a great cartoon. It really
There
is.
is nothing in all the universe I cannot do, but even I, weary of the endless chase.
He has the power cosmic,
The
which is not.
dialogue is legitimately quite profound, and it's written verbose and for adults, and it's serious. And I wish so much that we could have a Marvel movie nowadays that came out that would have the nerve, the confidence to be epic, to be serious, but they don't have that.
Honestly, if you watch the new Fantastic Four, you might be pleasantly surprised.
I'm going to see it in 3 days.
You might be pleasantly surprised. It's a very thoughtful movie that really takes its time with its characters, especially the Silver Surfer.
Good.
Yeah, good
I mean, I
stuff.
wish it was Norrin Rad, but whatever.
They chose the female one for reasons, actually, that I was kind of.
If they can tell a good story with it, then fine, good.
Oh, it's all that matters, really.
Yeah, if they just did it just because they wanted a female, then fuck you guys.
Yeah, that movie really feels like it's from like the first like run of Marvel movies. Like it's so good. It's so
Okay,
heartbreakingly
well,
good.
good then.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
just
as
that
good.
I have a personal connection to Norrin Rad, and the fact that he's not the Silver Surfer doesn't make me. It's like, I'd rather see John Stewart as a Green Lantern than Hal Jordan.
It would be like if instead of Thor, they went with like the Jane Foster Thor for the Marvel movies, and I'm like, that's not Thor,
That's
you
not
know.
Thor. I mean, it's not the Thor. You
I
don't
mean,
want to see that.
I like Jane Foster Thor, but that's not the Thor, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, not quite the same thing, but yeah, I appreciate what they did. Honestly, you might like it more than Superman. I don't. I like them both, but
To me, Superman left me like maybe just a little disappointed. So maybe Fantastic Four could come through for me.
you'll be surprised. It's a really good movie, really thoughtful, really, really, really good, and they really do a great job. Like I was expecting Johnny Storm to be the one telling jokes, and he's not really that goofy at all. He's a
Good.
scientist. He's actually like
There's one
he's
fuck up they
very.
always make in these movies or like just shows. They make Johnny Storm the fucking dumbass of the group.
Speaking of '90s cartoons, I mean, have B-roll of Johnny Storm, rapping. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
The
Game
90s
on,
Fantastic
game
Four did
on.
have his moments. There was an episode where Galactus came, and Galactus is causing shit, and then Ghost Rider shows up, and it's fucking awesome.
He does the penance stare. It
Yeah.
like stops Galactus for a second. It's pretty
Feel
cool.
the pain of a billion extinguished souls.
Thor
Feel
shows
the
up.
agony of eternal
Yeah,
guilt.
it's good stuff. I really like the episode where Reed Richards and Thor like team up to like kind of work with Galactus. It's good stuff.
Thor, played by John Rice Davies.
Who else? What else did he do?
He played Gimli in Lord of the Rings. And Professor Arturo in Sliders.
I never saw that. That's cool.
And that one guy in Indiana Jones.
Dogs barking outside. That's cool. All right, so yeah, so do watch Fantastic Four. Great fucking show. Jack, have you read Jack Kirby's Fourth World?
Fourth World.
Yeah,
I don't think I have.
the dark side and stuff.
No, I don't think I did. I know a lot
Okay.
about it, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, because after he left Marvel, he went off and did that. You might really love that.
Yeah, he made Darkseid.
He made Darkseid, but then he got to write a whole book about them.
Well, he made all the new gods, I think.
He made all the it was his idea. That was what he wanted to do for Thor. He was like, let's have Ragnarok happen, and like we'll kill everyone, but we'll have like the boom tube open, and they'll go to a new world. It'll be the fourth world, and like the survivors will go there, and they'll have a new race of gods. And Jack Kirby's like, "What? You want to kill all our superheroes? What are you talking about?" And he's like, Stanley wasn't having it. So Jack Kirby was like, "Fine, whatever, nerd." So when he eventually walked and went to work for DC, he brought that idea with him. And I mean, he introduced Darkseid as a scheming villain in the Jimmy Olsen comic book. But like,
Yeah.
when he shows the backstory in the Fourth World comic book, you see like the old race of gods dying, and Thor's helmet is there. Like it's very clearly Asgard the way Kirby drew it.
Mm-hmm. You can definitely see the Kirby influence on the aesthetics of New Genesis and Apocalypse.
Sure, they embrace the fuck out of that.
I love all the new guys. I love Mr. Miracle, Orion, Big Berta,
Orion's one of my favorites. Yeah, apparently Walter Simonson
Voyager.
has a book because he writes him like Thor, which I really should read. But I digress.
I digress.
Yes.
You should name the podcast I Digress.
I dig. On that note, those are things that Jack recommends. I don't know. Any thoughts you want to leave us with? Any words of wisdom for aspiring writers out there?
No, the story's not going to write itself. Be consistent. You gotta like work. Gotta practice. You gotta work hard. You gotta read a lot. Obviously, I have no room to talk. I'm not making any fucking money off any writing yet.
Okay.
Now, that'd be my kind of words of wisdom. Just something else I kind of want to say about the two stories for Resurrection. It was something I was thinking about when I was thinking about doing this interview. Actually, I was thinking a motif I kept coming back to in these biblical narratives was that these supernatural beings in these stories were much more influenced by the human beings than the human beings were influenced by the supernatural elements. And to me, that kind of represents sort of my stance on humanity and humanism, in that mythological beings, angels and gods and demons, they're all just different extensions of us and the things we do and the things we feel toward each other. And I think the message I was trying to go for in all these different biblical narratives was that what it all comes down to, it's all just us. The angel on your shoulder, the devil on your shoulder, it's just you. The good things you do, the bad things you do. There's no devil on your shoulder telling you to do this. There's no God telling you to go this way and that way. It's all just you, and you have to own up. We have to own up to that as a people. And I hear people all the time, evangelical people, and they say, "Oh, the devil made me do it. The devil made me do it." Or they're some basketball players like, "We won this game because God wanted us to win." It's so sad because one, you're not owning up to the bad things you've done and the mistakes you've made and by just blaming the devil. But even worse, even sadder, you're not giving yourself credit for the good things you've done, for the accomplishments you've made. So I just want to leave off a message of just pro humanity. You have to, as bad as humanity can be, and we can be pretty bad, and as pitch and frightening our failures can be, our triumphs can be just as awe-inspiring as our failures can. Even more so. But in order to do that, we have to own up to what we are. We can't blame the invisible man or the devil with the pitchfork. We gotta own. It's all us. It's all just us. We have to own it. We have to embrace that.
As Marilyn Manson says, we don't create the world. As artists, we just reflect on it.
Yeah.
And all we know is our own experience and perspective. And that's what we're sharing with the world, really,
And that's what I decided to do as a writer. I want to celebrate humanity. When you read a story of mine, I want you to think, you want to feel enriched being human, even if it's sad, even if it's tragic, even if it's depressing. You want to feel that joy of being, because even depression, even sadness, even grief, those are all signs that things are beautiful and worth preserving, because you feel a lacking of it. You feel a lacking of those things when you're depressed after reading the story.
Fair. Well, I think that's a good place to end things. Jack, where can we go to see more of your writing and find out more?
Well, currently Death Wish is the only place that published me, unfortunately. I'm still working on trying to sell some of these stories. You can, shopping around here and there. You can just check out my Instagram, which I'm sure will be linked below, if you can. And I'll update everything I'm doing there. Anything that's getting posted, anything that's getting published, anything that's starting to get published, I'll post there. And I post clips, I post reviews, I post little flash fictions, I post poems, author celebrations of recommendations I like. It's a fun little Instagram on the gram. That's what the cool kids call Instagram these days, the gram.
What a sad world we live in. Yeah, I'd like to point out that Jack is still a young writer, relatively younger than me.
I'm 22 years old.
22 years old. How do you find the motivation to do things? I know what I was doing when I was 22. I was writing poetry, and I was a giant nerd, My friends were other writers, but, kids these days, I don't know what the hell they do. What is it that keeps you writing and doing things?
I mean, just even if I knew that I would never make a penny off any of my work and no one would ever see it, I would still do it. I have fun doing it. I want to do it. It would be satisfying to me to have a story in my head. I want to write it down so I can read it again and again. I still reread my stories that I've written. I reread The Song of Sodom and Bloody Mary and all the other things that I've done in the workshop just for fun. Because I think they're good stories. These are stories I want to see.
Yeah, it's your
I kind of take it for myself. And you guys are the readers. If you like it, that's great. But you're just kind of along for the party.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, and that's the way it should
I recommend writers do that too. Write the stories that you want to see or personally want to see. Find a story that hasn't been written yet that you would like to have existed.
Yeah, I went through a period where I was writing political poetry, and it was getting published. People were talking about it, but it was kind of man, I'm writing about things I don't care about. Not that I don't care about the world, but I don't want to be writing about Donald Trump. I want to write about demons and the human condition and if I want to do something political, I want to do it the way I want to do it, not this way, you know? So, yeah, writing for clout and fame, it's fine, but you're going to turn yourself into something you don't want to be.
I mean, I do want clout and fame. I don't want it to be for something I don't like doing.
Right.
Obviously, I want my stories to be read. Obviously, if a tree falls in the forest, no one, you get the idea. Like it'd be pretty useless to enrich humanity if no one cared about it or read it. Like no one
Right.
would enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes, though, writers are not appreciated in their generation, and that's just the way it goes, man. You know, art is a
Unfortunately,
conversation, and sometimes you're too early or too late, as it were.
too early, too late. Sometimes I feel like I'm going too late because I tend to write very vintage feeling science fiction, and I feel like maybe it's outdated at this point.
I mean,
But hopefully not.
art is a wheel. Things come and go, and they come again, you know? So, I don't think it really matters.
Another thing I want to tell writers: write weird shit. Don't write boring shit. Write weird shit. Write whatever comes to mind. You can write a story about anything, anything. A lot of people they write stories about like a piano, and then the story's just about a piano, a regular boring ass piano. Write a story about a piano that's possessed by a fucking demon, and whoever plays it gets horrible, sees the future of people dying or something like that. Write a story about a haunted vending machine or something. Write a story about aliens coming to Earth to collect fictional creatures that they think exist.
Or maybe when
Free
you play,
idea machine.
or maybe as you play the piano, the devil gives the demon inside it gives you like different kinds of sexual pleasure from different notes, you know?
Is this in B flat?
Yeah, and it's like you start playing like Ode to Joy or something really cool, like some
Flex
Mozart shit.
gas.
Yeah, and then before you know it, you're like having this like full body orgasm. And you're floating around playing the piano.
I mean, shit. Sometimes I'll just come up with titles like weird shit. And I'll come up with like weird fucking titles, put them on a bowl. Like, okay, let's make a story around that.
How Michael Moorcock did it. Worked for him, right?
Just write anything. It's better to write shit than nothing at all. Just write whatever comes to your mind.
In summary, right? Just fucking
Because
do
if you're
it.
not gonna write at all, write something.
I agree. People get very hung up on the planning, and it's like, yeah, I mean that's fine. I mean, I do a fair amount of planning, but at the end of the day, you got to do it. It's
I do
not
no
me.
planning basically. Now, granted, I typically write short stories. It's way easier to write with no plan with a short story than it is for a novel. But even then, I'm not gonna like have a chart or any shit like that.
Well, I mean, I'm rating a series, and I have a spreadsheet because I have to keep track of things. I forget a lot, so.
And that works for you. But
Well,
it doesn't work for me. It makes me more confused. And I see so many of these fucking people, these fucking grifters on Instagram and shit, and they're like saying like, "Oh, get this writing app. You still use Google Docs? Shame on you. Don't use Google Docs." It's like last time I checked, fucking the greatest pieces of literature ever were written by fucking Candlelight and Quill. So fuck you fuck you and your chart and your apps and your bullshit.
there's a lot of
It's not about the
scams.
equipment.
There's a lot of scams, so I'm assuming you fall into my philosophy of you don't need any specialized equipment. I use Microsoft Word, but that's because I grew up using it, and I kind of know. I'm like a technomancer with it. I have all these presets and stuff. You don't even
You're
use
used to its
that, right?
bullshit. I'm not used to its bullshit. I use Google Docs.
You just use Google Docs, yeah. Like people pay for like I can't remember what they're called. They pay for these like novel writing softwares and all this Narishkite, This
That shit would just
fancy.
fucking confuse me.
It's fucking stupid. Yeah, I agree. This will make me a novelist if I buy this, Like, fuck out of
And
here.
it's typically only written for a very specific type of novel, really, I've found. Like writing prompts I find on Instagram. It's just things that only apply to like very generic YA, like for enemies to lovers kind of shit. That's not what I write. I don't write shit like that.
Yeah, I was using
Not my brand.
I was using one because I was writing a choose your own adventure, and I was using one for that, but I don't know. I got tired of it. It was too much of a hassle.
The machine is telling me what to do.
Yeah, whatever. Just write.
Timelines and just write a story, just write it.
Just write a fucking story. I agree.
Do it raw.
My advice is always read a lot and write a lot, and show it to other people because you're going to be the worst judge of your own work usually because you're too close to it.
And also start with short stories, really. I mean, if you want to start with a novel, fine, but like I think short stories make for good practice later on.
Yeah, the fundamentals of plotting and pacing and word choice, and yeah, the end product is a lot shorter, and you don't feel like as much of a failure if the whole thing is terrible. It's like
Yeah.
well,
And don't constrict yourself to one genre in terms of like what you consume. If you want to stick to one genre in your writing style, that's fine. But when you're consuming media, try to like watch all kinds of different things or read different things because that would give you more ideas than what the genre is giving you.
Unless you really, really, really like billionaire BDSM novels, then I guess just write that.
That's why, I mentioned Harlan Ellison and Clive Barker in the same breath. Like, that's pretty, you wouldn't typically mention those two together because they write very different things usually. But I write, it's all across the board what I write. Fantasy,
Also,
science fiction, horror.
right. Also, Jack Kirby comics. I mean,
Jack
similar,
Kirby
but
comics,
radically
TV
different.
shows, these cartoons.
These cartoons. Hey, I'm a big booster of cartoons. I think people don't give them enough fucking credit. So
And they still don't get any credit. They still keep coming out with just shit all the time, shit all over the kids. That's why C.S. Lewis was badass. He said a children's story that can only be loved by children is not a good story at all. I agree.
I think you're the
Gotta be
only
for everyone.
the only person I've talked to who likes C.S. Lewis this much.
I do like C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis, obviously, he's an apologist. Whatever, who gives a shit? He's a good writer.
Yeah,
Am I using the shot?
I am a fan of some of those Narnia books.
He had the gall, the nerve to end his children's book fantasy series with all of them dying in a horrible train accident.
Well, they went to heaven, but yeah, true.
Well, Susan didn't. Susan went to hell.
She was a whore.
Okay, Susan didn't go to hell, but like she didn't. Susan has to like
dared.
live.
Susan dared to wear nylons.
Susan has to live in post World War II Britain as a teenage girl with her
So
entire
hell.
family dead.
So hell.
Yeah, basically.
Nah, I really like the last battle until the last few pages. I also really like the Silver Chair. I think that's a great dark fantasy novel.
I feel like he peaked too early with Lion Within the Word.
Probably. I don't know. When your best friend is J.R.R. Tolkien, you're gonna go to some fun places.
He had the gall to just introduce Santa Claus in one of his books with no explanation.
Giving out like dangerous weapons. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Santa Claus should be.
Santa Claus is awesome. I love Santa Claus. We have a whole episode about Santa Claus where I just talk about how
Make
much I
Santa
love.
great again.
We have a whole episode about Santa Claus where I just talk about how awesome Santa Claus is and how much I love him, even though I'm Jewish.
Didn't you do an episode on Krampus?
Huh?
Didn't you do an episode on Krampus?
It was Krampus and Santa because they're kind of inseparable
Okay,
to me.
they were together. Yeah,
Well, yeah, they're the same person. That was my argument.
they're two halves of the same coin, or whole, or whatever the fuck.
Whatever. I kind of like. I'm never sure. Like when Hanukkah, like I never like Santa might not be real, but like I think that some it's like when Hanukkah Harry comes by, I'm never sure. Like I don't want people to get mixed up. So.
I think it's undeniable that Christmas is more fun than Hanukkah. Not to diss the Jews or anything, but
I mean, the oil did last a few more days. That's pretty great. It's a big miracle.
when you get a dreidel from fucking slacks, I got like a super soaker and shit.
Well, on that note, that's Jack Brennan. He's a great writer, brilliant poet, promising new writer. Do check out his work. I mean, the stuff in Death Wish, of course. He's been in pretty much all of our editions. I don't think you were in the first one, right?
No, I was in all the ones after that.
Yeah, but do check it out. Follow his Instagram. Maybe someday he'll write a novel. Maybe someday he'll be your friend too. So
If I get the money to fucking publish a novel.
there you go. So, do write poetry, make art, and most importantly, love your demons. Or they will.
Ave Satanas.
Ave Satanas, motherfucker.
I stole your line, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's alright. I didn't copyright.